How do you state the research questions?
There is no universal set of criteria for a good research question. Different disciplines have different priorities and requirements. A good research question for a history paper will differ from a good research question for a biology paper. In general, however, a good research question should be
Clear and focused.
In other words, the question should clearly state what the writer needs to do.
Not too broad and not too narrow.
The question should have an appropriate scope. If the question is too broad, it will not be possible to answer it truly within the word limit. If it's too narrow, you will not have enough to write about you and will struggle to develop a strong argument.
Not too easy to answer.
For example, the question should require more than a simple yes or no answer.
Not too difficult to answer.
You must be able to answer the question thoroughly within the given time frame and the word limit.
Researchable.
You must have access to a suitable amount of quality research materials, such as academic books and referred journal articles.
Analytical rather than descriptive.
In other words, your research question should allow you to produce an analysis of an issue or problem, rather than a simple description of it.
How do you indicate the scope and limitations?
The scope of a study explains the extent to which the research area will be explored in the work and specifies the parameters within the study will be operating.
Basically, this means that you will have to define what the study is going to cover and what it is focusing on. Similarly, you also have to define what the study is not going to cover. This will come under the limitations. Generally, the scope of a research paper is followed by its limitations.
As a researcher, you have to be careful when you define your scope or area of focus. Remember that if you broaden the scope too much, you might not be able to do justice to the work or it might take a very long time to complete. Consider the feasibility of your work before you write down the scope. Again, if the scope is too narrow, the findings might not be generalizable.
Typically, the information that you need to include in the scope will cover the following. Number 1. General purpose of the study. Number 2. The population or sample that you are studying. Number 3. The duration of the study. Number 4. The topics or theories that you will discuss. Number 5. The geographical location covered in the study.
When discussing the limitation of your research, be sure to describe each limitation in detailed but concise terms. Explain why each limitation exists. Provide the reason why each limitation could not be overcome using the methods chosen to gather the data. Cite to other studies that had similar problems when possible.
Assess the impact of each limitation in relation to the overall findings and conclusions of your study, and if appropriate, describe how these limitations could point to the need for further research.
Remember that the method you choose may be the source of significant limitation that has emerged during your interpretation of the results. For example, you didn't ask particular question in a survey that you later wish you had. If this is the case, don't panic. Acknowledge it and explain how applying different or more robust methodology might address the research problem more effectively in any future study. An underlying goal of scholarly research is not only to prove what works, but to demonstrate what doesn't work or what needs further clarification.
What are the characteristics of an effective literature review?
First is outlining important research trends. Second, assessing strengths and weaknesses of individual studies as well as the existing research as a whole. Third, identifying potential gaps in knowledge. And last but not the least, establishing a need for a current future research projects.